Alright guys, so back with the boat motor, and as you guys can see, I got quite a bit done here. So what I ended up having to do was I got the hose clamp, and so I made sure I got some like braking like oil or like whatever for putting pistons in, just to lube it so that they don't like contact the cylinder and stuff like that. So that they slide all nicely. Anyways, I had this on the piston, and I had it like a out a turn, so it was still tight, but like it wasn't like fully tight. And this one's obviously junk. I dropped it, so it broke the skirt, and then the rings are stuck. But so I had that on the piston, and I had it on the top. I guess you could go from the bottom too, but and then I had to squeeze the rings to slide into that, which guys, that was a pain, but that was the only way to make sure that all the rings lined up in the grooves so that they had their gap like that one, you can see. And because otherwise there was no way I would have been able to just set that on there and tighten them. But that was just the easiest way I thought of doing it. Who knows, maybe you could get lucky at doing it the other way. But then I put that over them, and then I tightened it, the rest of the way, so then it could fit down in there tight. I'm pretty sure I was showing you guys that. And so it was tight to the piston. It slid into that groove right there that I was struggling with. And then I have a spare rod cap and spare rod because I had to buy a used piston. And I just set that on there and then kind of tapped them through to get them in. I wasn't wailing on them. Okay, just kind of tap them in, and they slid right in. And then what I did to make sure, I pushed them all the way down, and then looked at the cylinder to see if there was any like marks. If I cracked a piston ring, you would be able to see a scratch or something, but it looked fine. So now the only way to tell is a compression test when it's back together. And so I did that, and then I did my bearing strategy because I had to put the rod bearings back on it. Yeah, because I put them in like that so that the clamp could slide over them. Then I had to put the caps back on there, and I just got them tightened. It's kind of a pain. Be careful you don't pull your piston right back out the cylinder again, because then you're really not having a good time. But so now I just gotta, you see that little mark right there? There's a little hole on the bottom in there that lines up with. So it's gonna be something like that. And then I gotta get that on there, and then I gotta get the bolt back in there. There's a bolt right there, which is right here. Looks like a drain plug, so probably is. And so now it's time to just get it together, because I am sick of working on this thing, because that right there is a pain in the rear to do with the needle bearings and having to put the pistons in that way. Oh, someone could lose their mind doing this, as the proper way to put it. But it's time to put the crankcase back together and have this be a done deal. But first, I'm gonna make sure that the surface is all clean, and put my case sealer on there, and then I'll get her all back together. Alright guys, so I got the gasket maker on the crankcase there, and got the bolt ready, and got the crank all set in there and everything, so it's just ready to be set on there. And let me just clean up the surface one more time. You see that some oil got in it, and you also want to make sure that you oil your bearing just a little bit before you put it back together. You don't want that going out and getting overheated. So here you go, and then you're ready to put the crankcase back on. So I'll set the camera down and do that, and then get back to you. Alright guys, so there you have it. I got everything bolted down, and you can see a little bit of silicone came out on that side, and this side too, which, you know, is good. You want it to squish out a little bit, but not so much that it's gonna, like, you know, get in the inside too and affect anything on the inside. And I got this plate bolted down too, so now the whole crankcase is put back together. And now I just gotta, I want to double check. Actually, I think the exhaust gasket is still good, but I definitely gotta do something about the cylinder head gasket. Here, flip this over now. Alright, so here we go. Here's a rag. Got a little scratched up, but honestly, that's actually really durable, because that was straight on the counter and spinning and, you know, moving around, getting scratched up, but it didn't really get scratched up. That's sweet. So I gotta take this back off and double check to make sure that that seals. Oh, and then I gotta do something about this hose. I gotta do something about that too. So I'll have to figure that out. Oh, I see how it goes now. That's a clamp, and this is just supposed to slide over. Okay. I'll get that figured out, and then get it all sealed up, and then you guys will see it all done. Alright guys, I got the motor all put back together now, and I got this clamp off of there. I cut the hose and I slid it back on. You can see that it's already cracked, but that's just how it's gonna have to be. I mean, my guess is it's something to do with, like, well, it doesn't take oil because you mix the oil into the fuel, but it has to do something with, like, the fuel, I have to assume, and how it runs. Like, it has to just be something to do with lubricating the motor. So I mean, as long as it don't leak, it must be fine. And so I got the spark plugs in there all tightened up. It's all sealed up, and it is a done deal. Even got the stickers right there that I got the tape off of. A little bit of sand got in that one when I sandblasted it, but I mean, besides bolting it to the, you know, the rest of it, I guess you'd say, and then the carburetor right there, and then a vent right there. That's about it. So it's definitely. I'm not even gonna try to spin it over. I'll wait until it's on there for that. But definitely want to make sure that it sounds good before I get, like, too far. But I don't know. I'm not worried. It should be good, and if it's not, then well, I don't feel like taking it back apart, because it was definitely one of the, well, this was definitely the hardest motor that I have, well, like, rebuilt. Like, I put new piston rings in it, so the hardest one I've rebuilt. Like, it was seized up, so I rebuilt it. Just doesn't have new pistons and stuff, but I cleaned out the bearings and put new piston rings on it and new spark plugs. Cleaned it all up, honed it out. So now it's time to get back to this thing. Man, it's been a while. Like, just look at all the dust on there. Man, it has been a minute. So I guess time to crack her open, and I did not lose the nuts, thankfully. Got all those right there still. And gotta just try and figure out how it goes back together. But luckily, I got that one over there still as a reference, so we'll get her back together. It'll just take some time, but we'll get her back together. Hopefully tonight. That will be the goal. And then can take the boat out for her ripski and I will definitely show you guys that when the time comes, because that is going to be exciting. And when that time comes, I'll have 3 motors and the oars, so there's no way I'm gonna be left stranded, which hopefully I don't have any problems at all. But you know, it's definitely concerning, because I rebuilt both of the lower units on both of the motors, and I don't know what I'm doing, so it's gonna be interesting to see if I did it right. But and see if I did this right. Obviously, you'd know from a compression test, and just by spinning it over and it running. So I don't know, I'm not too concerned about this right here. I am concerned about the lower units, especially. Well, let me just show you guys. I made sure to set out the gear oil just so I don't forget and seize up and burn out and lock up the brand new lower units I just spent the time rebuilding. So I got that covered, because I totally forgot about it until I was working on that Sportsman that I had out here, and I put the brake fluid over there, and I was like, wait, that gear oil, better not forget that. So anyways, guys, let's get the hood cover off of that thing, and let's well, actually I gotta realign this because something wasn't right. I'll show you guys that right here.